You are your very best asset. So, what's stopping you from investing in yourself and maxing out on that investment? There are some hard but essential lessons that you only get to walk through in the process of entrepreneurship. And even if you don't fancy yourself an entrepreneur or a business person or prefer the security of a job, let me tell you that entrepreneurship is for you. Hi, I'm Kari Heron, speaker, media content queen, and consultant to leaders, businesses, and governments, inviting you to this episode of Thrive with Kari. Stick with me all the way through to the end, but right now I need you to hit like and subscribe to help my channel grow and reach people like you who really want to expand into the fullness of their purpose, no matter what. Housekeeping matters done. Let's delve deeply into the topic of the hour. So everyone's road to entrepreneurship is different. As an entrepreneur myself, I really love this topic because it's one of the main things that really illustrates all elements of life coming together in a way that is absolutely holistic and wonderful. We're all different, coming from different cultural backgrounds, having different experiences. So we cannot judge our experiences by others. But what we all need to do is to go about living and making deliberate, active decisions to grow in life. And one of the best ways to do so is through economy, aka business. Yes, I'm partial. As an entrepreneur myself, I have seen how entrepreneurship has not only transformed my life, but also transformed the lives and the businesses and communities of those who I've been privileged to work with in developing their entrepreneurial skills and their businesses. Walk with me and hear my reasons why I strongly think that entrepreneurship is the best self-development tool that you could ever invest in. Number one, as I said before at the top of the hour, you are your best asset. So many of us don't get this, and for so many reasons due to faulty programming. But indeed, you are your best asset. There's a fundamental difference between confidence and conceit. As I work and do much business and with people from small spaces and living in small spaces, working in small spaces and places, I find myself having to teach this distinction every moment I can because many confuse the two, confidence and conceit, that is. Confidence is having a realistic view of oneself, while conceit is having an unrealistic, inflated, and overly positive view of oneself. Confidence comes out of a belief founded in an identity in which there is congruence. And congruence is when behavior, words, tonality, physiology, etc. matches the words and actions a person says and does. So it's like rapport, like an inner rapport within oneself, or an internal and external consistency received by others as sincerity, certainty, credibility. Truth, in other words, when all of our communication channels are saying similar things, we are congruent. Our message matches overall without conflict. My eyes are saying one thing and my words are saying something else, not congruence. But if my words are saying, I like you, and I'm saying it in a warm tone and with smiling eyes, then congruence happens. Also, my body language also resonates the same message. Congruence is happening again. Incongruence would imply the presence of conceit, maybe delusion, or even deception. There is simply no matching of behavior and the other channels. So I believe that confidence and conceit are on a spectrum, with confidence being somewhere in the middle and conceit being to the far right. This is my right, gonna be your left. There's one thing that's on the far left of the spectrum, which is self-deprecation or low self-esteem. Some cultures may even celebrate self-deprecation as an ideal character trait. Some places may value self-denial, the diminishing of oneself, not wanting to stand out or draw attention, mind you, even positive attention to oneself as ideal. They may see confidence as a lack of humility, which it's not. It is absolutely possible to be both confident and humble. Confidence and humility are rooted in identity. I'm confident because I know who I am, whose I am, and the purpose I serve to myself, my family, my clients, my community, and the world. I'm humble because I know that this life I live is not my own, but one laid down daily in service as a living sacrifice to God and His people. To paraphrase one of my favorite 90s songs by the group Anointed, I know that any good thing I have done or will become is not because of the I, but the you in me. It is the glory of God that shines on me and through me. It is through Him that I'm blessed and through which all my blessings flow. It is He who has blessed me to become a blessing. See, my confidence is grounded in humility. I submit to Him to teach and expand in me the areas in which I need to be perfected because listen to me, I am a human and I am a continuous work in progress. But even whilst I've said that, I also know confidently that I am His masterpiece because He said it. He says I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Does that make me conceited? No, it makes me confident. And yes, I'm still talking about the fact that you are your best asset. And that's what I wanted to do, to arise into the confidence of who you really are, what your identity is, and what you were created to be. Because we're living in times when grandiosity and pride abound, I had to take the time to differentiate and clarify the difference between confidence and conceit. That's not this. Oftentimes, we tend to have a warped sense of self based on all kinds of conditioning and programming. But remember, after loving God, above all, you are called to love your neighbor as yourself. The operative phrase in that commandment is as yourself. If you are investing more into others to the vagrant and blatant disregard and neglect of self, Houston, we've got a problem. It took me a failed marriage for me to realize that I was my own best asset. I had spent 10 years investing in a collective good to my own dysfunction. But this is not just confined to unhealthy relationships. This is also true in business. You can spend all your best years building someone else's company in which you have no shares and for which you have nothing but a salary. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but could there be more? I once heard a quote that a salary is what they pay you to forget your dreams. If you have employee shareholdership or you own stocks in the company that you're working for, that's a really, really good thing. You've turned your job into an asset that pays in multiple recurring ways, not just in your monthly salary or bonuses and other benefits, but in the cash value of your shares and dividends. So don't feel like having a job is a bad thing. Having a job is often a very smart thing. Hello. Outside of having dividends and shares in a company, which we don't always have access to. It's a really good thing for employers to consider, but it doesn't quite happen in a lot of small places because people have a very limited concept of prosperity, including one that is dominated by scarcity. Unfortunately, not rewarding people with shares is one of those limiting beliefs about wealth. But hey, that's probably another topic for another occasion. There is another ingenious way to turn a regular job into a multiple dividend paying asset, and that is to use your salary to fund another business that you own. The whole premise that you are your best asset implies that the best returns you will make on any investment is that on the one investment you make in yourself. So you're taking after-tax salary dollars and in reinvesting that in your own business. That's brilliant. That's genius. That's shares. That's some good stuff. Number 2, you're worth it. The second reason why entrepreneurship is the best self development tool you could invest in is because you are absolutely worth it. You are worth putting your money on yourself. I'm not a gambling person, but it's just like betting on your own horse. And I don't mean just in the sense of acquiring consumables or just buying things just to have things, but I'm talking about the sense that you are worth every investment in your own growth. Entrepreneurship forces you to truly level up yourself in order to grow and to scale. And when you don't have the requisite skills in a certain area, you either invest in learning them or contracting or hiring out with those skills so that you are free to concentrate in the areas in which you are truly genius. Number 3, you were made for more. Entrepreneurship is a great way to expand your vision of yourself and your purpose and to stand fully in it. Entrepreneurship forces you to dream and to bring forth a vision that no one else can. You are supernaturally bringing a new life into this world through a business. And in the process, you are expanding your own self. You're going to be challenged in unrivaled ways. Your resolve will be tested. Your ability to coexist in tense spaces and to hold on through grit will be tested. Your worldview will be challenged. Even your learned limiting beliefs will be challenged. In many ways, you will have to make some serious sacrifices to bring this baby to life. There is no delivery without labor pains, but you know that you can be more than you are currently showing up as. You will also have to take the limits off yourself and life and even of God, because we sometimes only ask of God and ask of life within our capacity to dream for ourselves. So we dream as far as we can see it rather than taking all of those restrictions off and allowing the greatness to really come forth, that vision to really shine through. So you'll have to crush limiting beliefs. You'll have to believe bigger. Number 4, multiple income streams is solid wisdom. Those who are older millennials, hear ye, and Gen Xers, and even before, were always taught to find career first and then to get a good job and keep it for a lifetime. In my parents' time, they actually banked on keeping their jobs, one job for an entire lifetime. No, that sounds bizarre to me as a millennial. Job security was a thing, like a real thing, like seriously, up until a generation or two ago. So essentially, you have a job and that's it. You just have a job. That's it for life. However, because I'm from a small country such as Jamaica, where salaries were always smaller than comparative incomes in developed countries, while the cost of living was seriously much higher, we learned to apply multiple income streams long before social media existed and all the social media gurus talk about multiple income streams. Why? Because we had to. It was the only way to get ahead. So the teacher in the classroom would leave the classroom and then would give private lessons after classes or on weekends. Or she would use her sewing skills to make clothes or drapery for window dressings for her community. My father, though he studied at the university level up to graduate level and has an MBA, loved farming and always farmed on the side. My mother is a seafood purveyor who would also sell her condiments on the side and cook for large parties. She is the one who taught me from early on to invest in learning and honing skills in addition to excelling in academics. There's no either or, there is both. Her advice was, your skills will ensure that you will always be able to work and earn even if you cannot get a job. Listen, to date, time has proven how extremely wise that instruction was. In fact, it laid the foundation for me to be able to use both my education and my skills to live and work in 5 different countries in 2 hemispheres and adapt to many changing economic conditions, cultures, environments, and the different markets including an entire pandemic. Multiple streams of income is good for both individuals as well as for businesses. When you start out, you will grow one area of income, one stream, and then as that one scales, it's wise to create additional streams to diversify and reduce your risk to market volatility. The best diversified income streams should be in completely different industries for best possible protection. Number 5, build yourself as a company. This is where it gets really sublime. You are the business. Yes, I said that. Yes, your business could actually be a company. But I also think that professionals, creatives, skilled workers, and people working in trades also need to see themselves as businesses. Operate like a business. Invest in leveling up your skill sets, in continuing hours of education, learning new techniques, and breaking technologies in your industry, as well as honing your service delivery to the highest level of excellence. Invest also in developing your personal brand and think of yourself as a group headquarters, a business hub from which you can eventually have many successful offshoots of business divisions or income streams. What do I mean? Like, this headquarters is the group of companies. You are your group of companies. And from that point, you will be able to have smaller businesses, which is perhaps a division that deals with manufacturing, a division that deals with media, a division that deals with tourism, different industries, but all coming together as a group of companies. And that group of companies would be you, your personal brand. Wealth is a fruit of knowledge. So expanding your growth is always going to allow you to enlarge your territory. Invest in good business mentors and consultants who will challenge you into greater areas of greatness and success than you could ever do it on your own. If you could do it, you would have on your own already. In fact, I'm taking 12 professionals, creators, entrepreneurs, and leaders for my next cohort to truly transform your way of doing business so that you can become your greatest income-bearing asset and increase your income, quality of your life, and find greater meaning and purpose. You want to be more and do more so you can have more. I'm offering you a chance for greater freedom in all areas. You can apply to see if you qualify by visiting kariheron.com/apply. And next, number 6, you build character like nothing else. Listen, entrepreneurship is not for the weak. Or maybe it's a way to build strengths in the areas in which you are weak. That's a good way to look at it. You have to learn to walk by faith, not by sight, when you are operating as an entrepreneur. You have to build self-discipline and self-leadership. There is nobody trying to motivate you. You've got to be self-motivated. You work harder for yourself than you ever would or could for any company. And you'll do it even without drawing a salary or getting paid in sick or vacation days. And you'll do it again and again and again. You will learn delayed gratification. Like financial teacher Dave Ramsey often says, you will have to be willing to live like no one else today in order to live and give like no one else tomorrow. You will become comfortable in temporary discomfort for the sake of building something greater in the near future. You will build grit like nothing else. You will have to reframe rejection not as something to be feared, but something to be wholly subdued and conquered. You will have to see failure as nothing but feedback. You will have to learn that rejection has to play second fiddle to God's protection and divine redirection. You have to be willing to fail and yet still do it, because there is really no failure. Really. No, there isn't. It's only feedback. You learn what happens under set circumstances and you learn to make adjustments and what those adjustments need to be in order to have a different outcome. That is feedback. Many successful entrepreneurs failed many times over before they struck that one thing that was a gold mine. But it was in the process of hitting hard rock repeatedly that they acquired the skills to become successful gold miners. 8, you will have to kill the fear of man. Fearing what parents, spouses, friends, family, or the general society will say keeps you stuck. Entrepreneurship will force you to not care about what others think. There's a story I learned in grade 2 at Wilmer's Prep School in Kingston, Jamaica. It was called Pleasing Everybody. From Aesop's Fables, this is a story with a great moral: the man, the boy, and the donkey. A man and his son were once going on their donkey to market. As they were walking by its side, a countryman passed them and said, "You fools, what is a donkey for but to ride upon?" So the man put the boy on the donkey and they went on their way. But soon they passed a group of men, one of whom said, "See that lazy youngster. He lets his father walk while he rides." So the man ordered his boy to get off and got on himself. But they hadn't gone far when they passed 2 women, one of whom said to the other, "Shame on that lazy lout to let his poor little son trudge along." Well, the man didn't know what to do, but at last he took his boy up before him on the donkey. By this time they had come to the town, and the passers-by began to jeer and point at them. The man stopped and asked, what were they scoffing at? The men said, "Aren't you ashamed of yourself for overloading that poor donkey of yours, you and your hulking son?" The man and the boy got off and tried to think what to do. They thought and they thought, till at last they cut down a pole, tied the donkey's feet to it, and raised the pole and the donkey to their shoulders. They went along, carrying the donkey amidst the laughter of all who met them until they came to Market Bridge. At that point, the donkey, getting one of his feet loose, kicked out and caused the boy to drop his end of the pole. In the struggle, the donkey fell over the bridge, and his 4 feet being tied together, he was drowned. "That will teach you," said an old man who had followed them. "Please all, and you will please no one." The same people who will shut you down for daring to invest in yourself or start your own business are the same ones who will later say, "I knew you always had it in you," when you succeed beyond their own projected self-limitations. Next, entrepreneurship will definitely force you to overcome any fear of selling. You fear selling because you don't want to look desperate or look hungry or look sleazy or starving, or you just don't want to look a certain kind of way because you think it's not attractive. But this could be tied to both a fear of rejection or a fear of man, or because we have an incorrect concept of what sales are due to some bad experiences. Not all salespeople are sleazy. Just like how not all politicians are corrupt, not all lawyers are liars. Sales is simply the fine art of communicating value, and it is an essential life skill. You will need to employ sales skills in every facet of your life, in your relationships, all of your interpersonal relationships. You have to get others to buy into you and to what it is that you want, to help them to be in agreement with you in, so that you can engage with each other and you have people to do what it is that you need them to do. For example, I want you to go out with me. I have to sell this idea that, hey, let's do this thing together. Let us show up at this time because this event is going to be something that we're both going to enjoy. That's selling something. That's communicating value, offering that, positioning that thing. That is sales. So you have to get out of your mind the idea that sales is just a sleazy thing. It's just a way to communicate value. So sales is a critical feedback loop. It will cause you to hone your excellence in your own skills, in your products and your service delivery, as well as collecting and taking on feedback for growth and expansion. You need sales in order to grow in entrepreneurship. In fact, if you're not making sales, you're simply employing in the process of cultivating an expensive hobby. Next, you'll have to keep on getting up Entrepreneurship will force you and challenge you to build resilience. Resilience is that one thing that works with consistency to produce success. You will fall. You are human, so you are fallible. Life has challenges. Every day will not be a great day, but the ability to keep on getting up and keep on going will be honed in entrepreneurship. Listen, you got to keep on moving, keep on doing it. You fall 7 times, you get up 8. The next hard lesson that entrepreneurship will teach you is how to build efficient and effective systems. Many of us start entrepreneurship as severely underfunded solopreneurs, and this may take many years of trial and error to grow. But whether it happens for you pretty early on or over a longer gestation period, you will have to learn how to employ efficient and effective systems to scale as an entrepreneur. This is true whether you choose to remain as a solopreneur who has scaled into millions, or the opposite end of the spectrum, an investor who hires others and becomes hands-off in business, or even cashes out and sells your company for more money than you could ever count. And this is my favorite: corporate social responsibility. One of the most rewarding things entrepreneurship will afford you is the gift of corporate social responsibility. Remember earlier when I quoted Dave Ramsey when he says that you have to be willing to live like no one else today so that you can live and give like no one else tomorrow? This is the give part. When you spend time investing in a business that multiplies and expands and becomes more, you become blessed to be a bigger blessing. And with a business, it expands the reach from just your immediate family. So you're not only taking care of your family, but also other families who you hire directly or even communities, as well as causes that you support and even in nation building. You truly develop a capacity to have greater meaning and purpose for yourself and greater impact on a greater cross-section of people. Economy or business or entrepreneurship is a great way to change a community, a nation, and even the world. So will you take the limits off yourself? Will you try and invest in yourself as your best asset? Will you become an entrepreneur today, or will you expand from the entrepreneur you are into the greater entrepreneur you can be? I want to hear from you in the comments some of the topics that you want us to cover and the persons you want us to interview in future episodes. Also, send us your feedback about this podcast by sending us your voice notes via DM on Instagram at Chef and Steward, and we will play them in upcoming episodes. Send video ones as well. See the description box for ways that you can partner with us to support our mission to help you build healthier and wealthier relationships with yourself and others by feeding your soul, body, spirit, and pocket. I'm Kari Heron, and you've been watching Thrive with Kari, created and produced by Chef and Steward Content Studio. Join us in the next episode on YouTube and download Thrive with Kari on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Audible. Thrive with Kari, the desert blooms.